Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Talking Point. And what was last week's question? I'm confused by the fact.
I've got hangover.
Yeah, this is our
Probably start again.
No. This is our pre-podcast. That's not going to work. My helmet won't allow me to drink.
We didn't explain the hats either. Now we're just two idiots in a hat, a full-faced helmet-y thing.
This is just a thing that I bought myself for the hell of it. And I thought I'll put it on the podcast.
I'm sure they'll love it.
Yeah. Runaway helmet. Talking Point obviously is our pre-podcast ramblings, and we ask a question each week. Last week we asked what game's franchise has been done to death.
Yeah.
And we've had a few suggestions. So
it's pretty much unanimous on the COD front, wasn't it?
COD came up twice. I think the best description for how overdone COD was from TimmyHassall. Came up with the analogy: it has been dry humped to a first-degree burn.
Yeah.
That's the kind of mental image that you A, don't want, and B, can agree with for the COD series.
It's not the fact that the game isn't a good game. I know that sounds like it is a good game, but they've just never done anything with it. It just carries on and on and on. Sometimes they add a dog, and then they take the dogs out, and then they bring the dog back again.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, that dog is going to die. If that dog doesn't die, they've rewritten it because everyone thinks the dog is going to die.
Oh no! I'm hoping it's going to be a complete double bluff, and the human will die, and then you play the rest of the game as the dog.
I want the dog to kill the human. That'd be brilliant if he turns on him completely.
The rest, the humans are going to die, and the rest of the game will just be you as the dog, trying to find food.
It's post-apocalyptic survival as a dog.
Yeah,
it's actually sounding quite good.
Although
it's new.
Survival
That's
games.
Something you can't ever say about any other COD game.
There are none of these survival games, Fallout, all that lot, ever take into account the rest of the Earth. It's all from the human perspective.
I'm still
we are self-centered bastards, basically.
Yeah. So COD was cool. What else was covered in the? I saw a lot of COD.
There was two people brought up COD. One we'll get back to in a bit. Trevor, our regular podcast listener and provider of mid-podcast songs every week, he came up with Crash Bandicoot because literally that by the end of its life cycle,
died, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think Crash Team Racing was pretty.
I liked Team Racing. I liked Crash Racing.
I never got on with it. I just thought it felt like a Mario knockoff.
Well, that's what it was. And when you accepted that it was a Mario knockoff, you went, actually, as a Mario as knockoffs go, this isn't too bad.
Which reminds me, did you ever play the F1 Race Stars game?
No.
We got it free on PlayStation Plus, and I don't get it. Somebody told me, actually, yeah, it's quite fun. I played it, and I just thought, what a piece of shite. It really is.
Codemasters really need to stick to doing what they do best, and that's F1.
Yes.
Just pure F1, hyper-realistic.
They're good at racing games. I'm not sure their forte is childish racing games.
No.
By childish, I don't mean it's aimed at kids. I just mean the kind of fun, cutesy racing games, a la Mario Kart.
Yeah. So, can we even work out what she? No, I know. Michelle and her ramblings. We're not going to try and quote her this week unless Cow feels up to it.
No.
I
can barely read this week. Let alone.
She went for the House of the Dead series because there's been absolutely loads of them.
I'm just thinking.
Including Typing of the Dead, which was a brilliant game. I loved that game.
I never played it.
It was awesome.
I can guess what it was.
Yeah.
Typing and shooting.
Well, basically, as the zombies...
Typing to kill.
Yeah, as the zombies came towards you, they had words on them, and you had to type them to shoot the zombies.
The big one doesn't have something like anti-disestablishment terrorism.
Has entire sentences.
Oh, dear. I could see how that could get really annoying, especially because my typing skills are not that good.
But it was able to be played in co-op. So the two-player, and you're there working your way through the campaign. But the moment one of you starts typing a phrase, that's their zombie. And if they fuck up...
You're all screwed.
You're both screwed.
Both, yeah. Nice.
But it came out on the Dreamcast, and you could get a keyboard attachment for the Dreamcast to do it.
I don't understand. She starts with, no, somebody give that hedgehog a bubble.
That's because
Is that because of the previous mention?
That's because of the previous mention at the end of at the end of the previous video, I did play the sound effect. And
I totally knew that and definitely watched it.
And I didn't get the hedgehog bubble. I played the sound effect where he drowned.
You harsh bastard. Oh, nice. We've also got the generic EA insert sports franchise here. I can't really argue with that.
No.
That and the Germans' fixation with simulators.
FirehawkShadowchild came up with EA sports franchise. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, I was actually discussing this the other day because I got a bit confused because I was getting news from like 3 different sources and neither of them really covered it with the whole FIFA Xbox One thing. And I kind of at one point I was thinking that FIFA were releasing a game called Legends and FIFA, but
No,
Legends is kind of an add-on for Xbox
Legends
One.
is a games mode within the FIFA franchise. It is going to be exclusive to the Xbox One, and the
FIFA's actually
FIFA
free.
14 will be given free to Europeans.
Yeah.
They haven't confirmed if the Americans are going to get anything free with the Xbox One yet, but you can pretty much guarantee at this point that they're getting Madden.
Yeah, they'll get something, won't they?
What I want to know is how they're going to bounce that the other way around, and how Sony are going to respond, because they're already giving us Drive Club.
Yep.
And 14 days worth of free PlayStation Plus.
Yep. I don't think they need to do anything. I think they're just going to... Oh, sorry. That's dinner coming back. I think they're just going to screw up their bottom line if they keep giving away more free stuff. We don't need it.
No.
Anyway, that's a different...
that's for
a
later
different
on.
one altogether.
Yeah.
But the franchises FIFA should be done on an MMO type model.
Yes,
There is
that's,
no
that's
reason
the
why it
argument I've had for quite a while now, that FIFA and any sports franchise should be done with the MMO patch update model and then maybe an expansion pack once a year that you buy for a quarter of the price of a full game.
Yeah. I'd pay a subscription if it was small and everything was kept up to date, because that was the bit that people get annoyed about, isn't it?
Yeah.
They could even get it, I think they did it in one of the more recent versions, where they keep it up to date with how people are performing in the league.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a bad week, they have a bad week.
The live updates of the stats. Yeah, that works, and thank you. You've just justified a subscription model on an MMO. You just agreed that they're useful, and you usually argue against that.
What I say is I never want to play World of Warcraft because...
Yeah.
Yeah, and the subscriptions are too high. Which they are.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Too high is a different argument.
If, let's say subscription, a couple of quid a week. A month. Not a week, that's expensive. A couple of quid a month, and I'd be quite happy to pay a subscription. If it was something like football, if I was heavily into it. Then
Yeah.
I used to be as a kid, but now I just... There's another subscription I wouldn't bother with. Basically, there is no game I could justify a subscription for because I don't play enough.
Oh, I'm sure there will be eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also says that the German simulator franchise is overmilked, and yes,
Yeah.
yes, we never understood it apart from Street Cleaning Simulator
Which was brilliant.
and Bridge Simulator.
The one I don't get is you get Truck Simulator, and then they also get Euro Truck Simulator.
Yep.
And all I can think is,
Steering wheel's on the other side of the van.
but it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Either way, you're driving a truck. Either way, you're going to crash that truck. And either way, you're going to get bored of it in about 5 seconds unless you're German.
Well, it went beyond that though, didn't it? It went to Crane Simulator.
Yeah.
The cranes don't fucking move!
So you're pretty much just lowering a boom, picking something up, moving it, and putting it back down again.
Yep.
Nice. In saying that, we always take the piss out of something like this, but
We.
how many hours did you ever put into that Lunar Lander game?
Yes.
Which literally you just had to land a little thing. I mean, it wasn't that difficult, but you would put so many hours of that. It was so simple, and yet we're ridiculing a truck simulator where you actually have to drive remotely normally.
Yeah, but the fact is that all of these simulators have been built so piss poorly, as attested by my review of Street Cleaning Simulator.
Yeah, I think you mounted a car at one point with a street cleaner.
My street cleaner mounted another car at one point, and I had the cleanest lake bottom in the entire world. Because for some reason, the moment you got into that vehicle, you were able to breathe underwater.
Maybe it's sealed. Just no. Okay. Either way, it's a stupid one. But that's it for those
That's
comments.
YouTube out of the way. Back to Facebook, where
I'm just going to disagree with Mike Lockwood because I just like to.
okay,
Splinter Cell is not overdone yet.
it's getting there.
It's getting there.
It's almost there.
They revamped the franchise a little bit with I forget what it was called. This is
Blacklist.
Yeah, I think so. This isn't helping my side, is it? It's that one, whatever they did it, yeah. But they tried to revamp.
You didn't even watch Alec's video, which is on this YouTube channel, where he recapped the entire storyline of Splinter Cell.
Yeah, I've not had time. Literally, you know what's going on. I have no time.
Yeah.
But the Splinter Cell stuff, it's hard to say it's ever past its due because when you have stealth type gameplay, I know it sounds bad, but you can always find another way to do something.
Yeah.
And it's not a set. Maybe this is just me. Maybe I enjoy the stealth genre, but I always feel like it's got a lot of replayability because you can do things differently.
No, I agree.
If you raise an alarm, you get pissed off, so you do it again.
Yeah.
This time, not raising an alarm, and you challenge yourself to get through a level without raising alarms. And you can actually keep a game going just like that, and the games do become enjoyable to play.
Yeah.
I mean, co-op mode on.
What about his other side of it then, Tekken? Do you agree that Tekken might have? Then again, if you're gonna clump Tekken in there, you've got to pretty much say every fighting game.
Yeah.
Because Street Fighter's on what the
4x2 Super.
Yeah,
Duper.
I'm not. I was gonna say fourth version, but it's not. It's on his about 38th version.
But it's one of those things. Because those games are competitive games.
Yeah.
And people play them
professionally. Yeah.
So. It's a harder one to say because obviously they want to keep that going and they want to keep the competitions going. Yeah,
but they could keep the competitions going in the same way that we've just said with the sports games now.
Yeah.
We've moved on. The technology has moved on where we don't actually need a new version of the game pumped out every year. It's now got to the point where the consoles are capable of doing what the PC market has been doing for decades.
Patches and updates.
Patches, updates and expansion packs.
Yeah. I was going to say, how can they make money off that? But obviously they'll just charge you for patches, updates and expansion packs. That's the thing. Street Fighter, the core mechanic doesn't change in any of the versions, does it? All they change are movesets and...
But every 3-4 years, again, does get to a point where... Well, even then, World of Warcraft, every 2 years, an expansion pack.
Yeah. But they add whole new worlds.
That changes the core mechanics. Basically, that expansion pack overwrites the core mechanics and fixes all the problems that are there.
Yeah.
You could do that. You could get away with that. I wouldn't mind that if FIFA was right. Here's FIFA. For the next 3 years, you're getting DLC packs, expansion packs, and then we've now got to a point where we can't tweak the core engine anymore. We're going to have to sell you a new copy.
Yeah.
So basically, FIFA becomes a triannual franchise with DLC packs in the middle. That would work.
And if you pay 40 quid a year or something in subscriptions and they keep updating and keep adding bits, you wouldn't really care all that much, would you? Because 40 quid's not that much money, really. Kind of.
But it's what we pay a year for PlayStation Plus, so...
Exactly, yeah. So it's not too bad. But again, it's that whole thing, isn't it? When you're paying to play online and then you pay for another game, and then if you have another game you want to play, you can see how it become... If everyone did it, it would just flood it completely. I think free-to-play has a lot to be said.
Yeah, I know, but you could do a free-to-play way of doing it.
Yeah.
You could balance the two out.
Two alternatives. Anywho.
What was the other suggestion? Dan Allen came with Call of Duty, obviously. He tried to make the argument, though, that at least with FIFA, they change the gameplay every year.
Yeah, they do.
But then, at the same time, COD players would make the same argument, completely bounced back at FIFA players.
It is literally rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
They're both as bad as each other.
They are both as bad as each other, and from the outside, they both look like neither have evolved in the last 5 years.
Well, now FIFA did do a big change. I can't remember when it was now, but they did kind of update the core gameplay, and it was nice. But again, it was kind of 4 years of stagnation, big change, stagnation, big change, and that's kind of the mechanic they work on. Call of Duty they've kept the core gameplay through and through, and all they do is chuck in a dog or they'll chuck in a remote
You
control
really don't
car.
like this dog, do you?
I see it for what it is. It's a bloody gimmick.
Yeah.
I don't mind having dogs. I'm quite happy to have these extra little bits, like remote control cars with bombs on, whatever the hell else they want to throw in there. Drones.
Yeah.
Fuck it, why not? But stop releasing this crap as a new game. Adding a dog, or adding a car with a bomb on it, you could just write that as a patch.
Yeah.
That's not difficult. There is no reason for half this stuff. And all they do is they make a slightly new story and throw in some new maps for multiplayer. That is literally what you would get in a patch on PC. And that would come out 6 months after it was released. And everyone would be like, great, we'll carry on playing. It works. When you get a patch to keep going, you carry on playing. But anyway.
Right, Stuart Renton came up with Pokemon.
He's attacking my childhood here. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this.
How many more times can they make a blob of pixels into another crappy creature? It's a dog fighting game made into a cruelty trap.
It's true. It is dog fighting. But
also turtle fighting and electric rat fighting.
Yeah, but now haven't they made them out of like inanimate objects and all sorts?
Yes, one of them is based on a sword.
Yeah,
but it is a mythical sword. And when you actually start looking into the history of the creatures that some of the backgrounds of what they based the creatures in Pokemon on, they've done some really deep research into Japanese and Chinese and all that kind of history and lore. You can really research into it.
But let's be honest, it's still a sword.
It's still a floating sword, yeah. It's still a floating sentient sword, but at least let me have a defence here.
I'm not sure there is one. As much as I want to defend Pokemon, Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Black, White, Silver, Platinum, Diamond. I mean, fuck off.
Stadium Snap.
Yeah. Basically, all you do is wander around until you reach a random encounter, chuck a ball at a stupid little animal, and then for the next game use that animal to throw it. Well, I don't understand. You've captured it in a ball. It's cramped in there. Imagine it's kind of crippled inside. You let it out and the fucker don't run away. It battles for you.
Yeah.
No chance. Hell, if I tell Rudy to sit still, he runs off. If I kept him in a ball all day long and then told him to sit still, I've got no chance.
Yeah, but your dog's special, so let's get this finished.
Do Pokemon have Stockholm Syndrome?
Yes.
Is that... Well, it kind of explains it.
The other one he suggested was Mario.
No.
The game evolves fairly regularly, so...
Yeah, the character is done to death, kind of, but the gameplay changes in practically every iteration. They make a new game and stick him in it.
Alec-Ross, even though he's got a few suggestions, even though he's just done the video for it and pre-ordered the next game, he says the Splinter Cell series has run its course. It needs a reboot or putting down. The stealth genre in general needs reviving for the next gen.
Yeah. Well, we got Volume.
Yep.
That's a new stealth one, but...
And then you went for the obvious targets of COD and FIFA, but you can't argue with the fact that the core titles...
They've got the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his final one, despite how much we know he is a lover of Resident Evil, is Resident Evil.
Yeah, that must have been painful for him to type. Basically, what all he said was, I chucked my money down the pan at Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with COD and FIFA and the way they work, but hell, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
As long as those two keep funding other things,
Exactly.
I'm happy for them to keep going.
And then he's ripped into his favourite franchise of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, poor guy. But yeah, he's right. It's got a bit embarrassing in it. It's long in the tooth.
It has become a joke. Each version has got worse. So that leaves us with all of the suggestions for last week. And now, have you got a question? Because I don't. I didn't think
I
of
had one, didn't I? Just before we started, I had this amazing question.
It's gone.
Do you remember what it was?
Last of Us.
Yes. Because I was talking to Mike the other day.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think Last of Us is as good as all the hype. Now, it's getting scores around 94, 96, 10 out of 10 by some, so it's similar kind of level of Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to know is, what do people actually think? Do they think it is?
See, this is one of those things where I'm going to be probably hated because I don't think Half-Life lives up to the hype that it's got.
Oh, see, I do. I think Half-Life... The problem is everything has to be seen in its setting. And Half-Life 2, when it came out...
Yes, when it came out, it was good, but I still never thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. That everybody else. I kind of parred back from openly admitting that because I didn't want to be ostracised.
Get out.
It was a good game, don't get me wrong, but it didn't press the right buttons for me. It wasn't it.
The ones the great things about Half-Life 2, as I understand it, and what I enjoyed about them were, first of all, it's a linear game that felt like you weren't ever. You never felt like you were walking down an alley.
It was linear, but you weren't corralled.
Yeah, you knew where you were going,
yeah.
And you had an incentive to go that way, and you generally didn't wander off course.
No.
And also the physics puzzles, because they had that physics engine.
Yeah.
And all the little bits you could do to solve a puzzle was quite nice. It was new. It was different.
Yeah, but it was also fairly janky.
Yeah, but compare this to Last of Us, and let's be honest, every time you see any water, you start looking for a pallet. Every time.
Yeah.
You just think, where's the pallet? Come on, where have you hidden it this time? And sometimes it's up on the roof, sometimes it's in another room, sometimes it's just floating there.
I do have to admit that Last of Us has given me a new appreciation for ladders.
It becomes a bit of a farce, doesn't it, when every single puzzle becomes the same challenge.
Yeah, but my stockpiling for the end of the world is now going to consist of pallets, ladders, planks, and beans.
Yeah, that's it.
And vitamins.
The other one that annoyed me. A ladder works exactly the same way as a plank if you want it to.
Yeah.
Right? You can walk across a ladder. It might not be that structural, but if you're careful, I'm sure you'll be fine.
If you really had to get across that gap,
exactly.
you'd fucking crawl across the ladder.
Use it like a pole vault if you have to. I don't care. You can use a ladder to get across a gap. And it was just really linear puzzles. There was only one solution every time. There's no other way you could do it. And it kind of let it down a bit. I think the only reason it got the high scores...
The story is good.
The story keeps you
playing.
But
then I made the argument that gameplay outdoes graphics, but at the same time, for me, story outdoes gameplay.
Yeah,
You've got to have solid gameplay. You can't have piss poor gameplay. You've got to have a decent level of everything. But I can be carried by it. I can have a game carried by the story.
But you can also have a game carried by the gameplay. You get some where the story's non-existent and the gameplay is enough to get you.
But that's it. As long as one of those two as long as one of the gameplay or the story is there to carry the whole thing.
Yeah.
Then everything else is secondary. And yes, I admit that the gameplay in bits of Last of Us became repetitive and predictable.
But it didn't really matter, did it? Let's be honest.
But you didn't care because you were still being carried by the story and you still gave a shit about the story.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. That's the problem. So where would you put it then? If you had to give it a score out of 100?
High 80s.
Would you... What game would you rate higher? This is one that's... Because to say that, obviously you've got to rate it against its peers. So that's why Half-Life did well, because at the time there wasn't that much that was pushing it.
I don't know, because...
yeah, well, if you think about Last of Us, to say it's high 80s, because
I don't have a rate against anything else. I just go on how much I enjoyed it, and the few bugs in there and the few bits where the gameplay fell apart are lost marks, but it's still only lost a few marks from its overall 100%.
It's a tiny bit in it compared to the amount of marks it gets for everything else.
Yeah.
But
I start at 100 and start taking away. I don't start from the bottom and add.
I find giving things an arbitrary number a bit.
I hate
it's
giving.
Frustrating, isn't it?
I hate giving things numbers. That's why if you look at any of my recent reviews, I don't put scores on them.
Just say it. Either way, it's a good game.
Yeah.
And I'd say it does kind of live up to the hype.
Yes, it lives up to the hype, but you've got to listen to the right bits of the hype.
You've got to enjoy the story. If you're not into games for stories,
you're
probably not going to enjoy the game all that much, because there are bits of the gameplay where you just think, oh, come on, not this again.
But it's the same with... It's not just Last of Us. It's a Naughty Dog thing. Because fucking Drake. Uncharted. I can't get past... As good as I know those games are, I can't get past the flaws in the gameplay.
You just get hung up on them.
They piss me off so much that I've never got to the end of any of those games. I've played all of them. I've started all of them, but I've never got to the end of them because the enemy AI, for fuck's sake, I've got more intelligent models on that shelf.
I can't say I've played much of it, but I'm guessing is it the usual hide behind this, run out and try and shoot people and get killed, basically.
Yeah.
Nice.
The AI is absolutely retarded in those games.
Yeah. Yeah, well. So there you go. Anyone that's played Last of Us, what do you think of it? Is it worth the hype?
Yeah, is Last of Us worth the hype, or what game? In fact, no. Let's go with is Last of Us worth the hype, because that's just one question, really. Because
you could tell we're not drunk enough for this, guy.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. So yeah, nice to hear from you all. Give us another question,
please. Question.